I call next Mr. Kleinwächter. The floor is yours for 3 minutes.
Should the right to a healthy environment be recognized in law as an autonomous human right? I'm firmly convinced it should not be. The reasoning behind it is already very flawed. The first paragraph of the report says that climate change is the greatest existential emergency for humankind and that this emergency is mainly due to the lack of long-lasting structural action. Wait a minute. The state of emergency is normally marked by the fact that governments lift or waive human rights, not that they create new human rights. And human rights are usually defensive rights of a citizen against an overacting sovereign. So how can human rights be directed against inaction? Unlike torture or imprisonment, climate change is not a sovereign action. The government does not order heat or flooding to happen. So the very concept of human rights is actually not applicable to this issue. A lot of people have referenced the court decision of the European Court of Human Rights in the case of the climate seniors against Switzerland. And that is actually a low point in this organization. The court has ruled that the Swiss have to introduce basically a CO2 budget or CO2 reforms, even though the Swiss in a referendum in 2021 had decided they do not want that. They had a referendum on the issue. They voted no. And now they have to introduce it nevertheless. That ruling is directed against democracy. We are here to protect democracy, and we cannot allow judges to overrule democratic decisions. Where is the division of power here? Where is the role of the legislative power here? We're responsible as representatives to actually make politics and make policy the way we think is right, and then the judges can control us. The major problem of a right to a healthy environment is that it actually enters into conflict with other human rights. What is the relation of this new human right that you're suggesting to, for instance, the right to property, to the right to private life, to the right to life, even? Does that mean that for the environment, I can be legally disowned? Does it mean that for the sake of a healthy environment or a fight against climate change, I can be evicted from my home, for instance, because it's gas powered? Does it mean that if I'm sick, I'm in a coma, I'm only emitting CO2 emissions and not contributing to society, I can be killed? What, dear colleagues, is the relation of this new human right to other human rights? You will have to answer this question before suggesting to introduce that as a human right. You may regulate action on climate change, but you should never, ever open the door for environmental human rights. Thank you.
Thank you, colleague.